out of the 45 people, maybe 5 of us is in the same state. So maybe out of the 45 people, we might got a range of 20 states in this call, right? Maybe less, maybe more, right? So you got somebody from this, you got a Moor from there, right? Like I said, they're gonna have to be tried and true so that this Moor is eligible to represent the Moors that they say that they represent, right? If they're not there, or if they have to be there via Zoom, right? So you don't have to be there physically in person, so that you have your say. So
it's already started.
He has
I know.
everybody's concerns is brought to the table because, like you said, let's say we get this done by. Let's just say we get it done by this year, end of this year. Next year, Moors say, "Oh, the Moors did have a constitutional convention. They didn't know nothing about it. They wasn't
right.
You know what I'm saying? They didn't know nothing about it, and they feel different. They feel differently on certain things. Like, trust me, it happened. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't always 50 states in the so-called United States. So it happens, and it's examples of it. And all United States citizens wasn't at the, you know what I'm saying, the Constitutional Convention when they had their Constitutional Convention, or all the Europeans wasn't there when they declared their independence, or however it went, right? But that's the acquiescence, and that's your responsibility as a citizen. Your responsibility as a citizen is to participate in these matters, or that these matters is going to, like I said, society, humanity has to continue with or without you, regardless to if you decide to be human, chattel property, whatever it is that you're a unicorn, whatever it is that you decide that you want to be. The civilized world still has to be civilized. So, at the time being, they want to say that the Moorish nation is dead. The Moorish nation is not dead. It's not going to take a thousand Moors to say that we are not dead. It's just going to take a majority of them to say it, and that's all we're looking for. We're looking for a majority of Moors willing to stand on and to speak this truth fearlessly of what it is, and simply as simple as that. Like, because once it's brought to the table, it's not going to be no ifs, ands, or buts. Once it's brought to the table, the naysayers, the confusion, the packet sellers, all of them, the cover is going to be blown. At that point, when that time comes, they're going to be already denounced their loyalty to the Moorish nation, right? So at that time, it's going to be mufti, it's going to be religion, it's going to be bounty, it's going to be different steps, right? And what we're trying to do is we're trying to dig ourselves out of this grave that we was buried alive in. So if they want to choose to continue to play dead, then that's on them. That's not going to stop us from digging out of this hole. So if they see the light, once the light is there, and they want to dig out the hole and then pretend that they wasn't buried, once they unburied themselves, it's going to be on them, and it's going to be upon the righteous Moors to call it for what it is. But we're not going to wait around for people to keep secrets and hold this information because they scared of COINTELPRO, assassination, Facebook's accounts being deleted, Child Protective Service, whatever it may be. We're not going to let nothing else stop this from happening. Like I said, the information been hid for long enough. It's up to us, man. We can continue to play dead, or we don't have to. It's up to us. So for the Moors who don't know nothing about this Constitutional Convention,
I'll just explain.
And they Moors, it's our responsibility to let them know that it's a constitutional convention being put together. And for the 43 people in this chat, it's our responsibility to make sure that the people being welcomed into this constitutional convention is held responsible for their actions. If they want to show up and yell nigger, we're going to make sure that it's somebody there for that. If they want to show up and pull a Dylan Roof or whatever it is, or make death threats or call in, whatever it is that they want to do, we're going to make sure that it's taken care of before the situation is put at hand. Moors know that this information is dangerous, and it makes you a target if you're willing to speak this truth. So that's what this Zoom is for. This Zoom is for the Moors that's not afraid of dragons and unicorns and Santa Claus and whatever it is that you want to make it up. The colonies, we not worried about nothing but making sure that this plan that Noble Drew Ali run forth is run to complete life, and that the confusion sellers and the naysayers and the misleading people is brought to justice and held responsible for everything up until this point that they have done. So the faster we get this constitutional convention done rightfully, lawfully, and in the ways of our ancestors, in the five principles, and as long as we stay true to that, it's not nothing else to really worry about. And we know how to talk, we know how to count, we know how to spell, we know how to do it, but we have to start from somewhere. Have to go. So that's what this is.
Nah, it's K51. Hold on, real fast. K51, can you mute yourself? Because I'm hearing crazy interference.
Even Jesus was a target.
Yeah, I'm trying to say like the game, like it's a beautiful thing is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Yeah, it's a beautiful thing, and that beauty is the reason for a lot of it for a lot of the targets being put up. So it's not by coincidence that most of us wasn't born knowing that we were bored. It's not by coincidence that we
Nah, it's the same person.
thought Christopher Columbus might have discovered America. It's not by coincidence that they teach us these contradictions right in our faces.
I'm sorry, somebody's microphone is picking up a fan or something, air conditioning. There's like that buzz.
That's K5. That's K51, bro. Could you mute yourself and keep yourself muted unless you got something to say? Because your mic just coming in like that. I just had to mute you twice. It's 2K51, so I might have to block you if it happens again.
I don't know. I'm 1K51, but my microphone is muted, so maybe the other one.
Yeah, I'm not sure what's refrigerator.
Well, we figured it out. What were you saying now? Someone was speaking.
It's a like I said, the information and being a Moor is a beautiful thing. Like I said, it's the original. Like I said, you gotta do your own research and your own read and stuff like that. But it's a beautiful thing to be who you are, to be the individual that you are, regardless to what nationality that you is. So it's a reason our nationality was hidden. So the beauty of that, once you realize it, if you haven't already realized it, you realize why it's so much of a target and why these fearless Moors that you know of underneath these, crazy names, Malcolm X or whatever, why these people are assassinated and poisoned and got out of the ways, because once this information is understood completely, it's like I said, it's a beautiful thing, and not all people are willing to sell their brothers out. And it's coming a time now that that's just not how it's gonna go. So if it's gonna be any so-called black on black crime or any so-called however you want to call it, whatever you want to call it, it's gonna be justified. It's gonna be right.
Also, I'm sorry if I could just interject on that. So as not to see things like into the movement that may or may not be happening, just to kind of look at it from the spiritual aspect of the fact that like anytime that you are ascending to your higher self, you're going to be met with the challenges like in the Simple 7 where it says like, those things are put before you to make you stronger. So like, I think sometimes it's important to balance out maybe like,
Can I share this little diagram that I drew? Does someone have something to say?
Yeah, real quick, before you go in, Gracie, because I'm watching you want to drink something. You about to go in. As a collective, I don't want us as the movement to get derailed or sidetracked. We have an objective, and the objective is to establish or reestablish our centralized government. And so, as we move forward and begin to get closer to the objective, a lot of stuff we have to just doesn't matter. Like, we don't have to focus our attention too much in the direction of the package sellers or in a direction, waste too much energy on the people with the mindset of the minority. Every man, woman, and child must confess their own and take their place amongst the affairs of men. So once we send that invitation out to the nation, to the movement as a whole, in the time leading up to the convention and everything of that nature, the representatives that come on behalf of their territories will be will be enough for that territory. And everybody is responsible for we are the government. All of us are the government. So those that are not willing to make that sacrifice, don't understand the sacrifice that they need to make in order for their peace and their element and their place in this whole thing. If they're not willing to comprehend that, it is just what it is. Like, we can't force that on nobody. And that's where the separation between the mindset of the minority versus the majority. Okay, and so there's going to be people that may think that the Constitutional Convention, the centralized government, is a great idea. It just ascend to the level of competence and honor and nobility to say, okay, this is what it is and this is what it has to be. So again, like, we need to stay focused on our objective and more or less not give too much energy to the so-called dirty Moors or to the people who are the naysayers, the so-called haters and things of that nature, and just stay focused. Because what Allah wills, nobody can stop that. And so once we stay focused on that objective, again, it doesn't matter who's hating, it doesn't matter who's not with it. It is what it is. And so the whole thing is us waking up to the principle. The principle is the fact that we have been missing from the concept and understanding that we are the government. So now we're building the blocks. We're putting the blocks back together. Okay? Inshallah, it's going to be successful. And again, no matter what, it doesn't matter who's hating or who's against it. It is what it is. I yield the floor. Peace.
Peace. I just wanted to go over this real quick, and I'm live on YouTube, just so if there's any Moors interested and have questions about basically what a convention is, you can just send them this video. Right? So basically, I'm going to show the little screen. So basically, we're at step one. Step one is Moors come together. And we've also been doing step two. Step two is Moors notify other Moors. What we're trying to do is step three, which is come together in the flesh. So with step one, this is where we're hashing out what an actual convention is, as far as establishing laws that govern all Moors, as far as establishing, our own courts, our own executive branch, our own legislative branch, basically everything that we need. Our own Department of Education, our own Department of Commerce, establishing prime ministers that's going to represent us internationally, establishing ambassadors or viziers, and all this stuff that's in the rudder and sextant, right? Then once we actually come together in the flesh, that's where we're going to establish a chairman, a secretary, and a treasurer, right? So which is what I have right here. The chairman, the secretary, and the treasurer. Those three persons' job, or those three people's job, is basically to make sure that everything is happening as far as us going in an actual direction, right? Then once we elect those people, from amongst ourselves, we're going to establish subcommittees. So as an example, we need a subcommittee on community outreach to wake people up. So we'll have the community outreach subcommittee. And from the Moors that actually show up in the flesh, whenever we vote on it, we'll vote a head in charge of that committee, And whoever's attracted to that committee as far as doing community outreach or creating programs for community outreach, those Moors will be in that committee, right? Then there'll be another committee, let's say the Moorish Self or National Guard Committee. We'll appoint someone in charge of that, and all those people attracted to that will be part of that committee, right? And then so on and so forth. Then with each committee, just like we see in Congress, each committee will make their proposals, right? So the Committee on Community Outreach will propose their resolution on a program to reach out to Moors. The Committee on National Defense will propose their proposal to how we're going to protect the nation, and budgets associated with that. So now we're going to have a monetary value associated with these things, so we can actually see what's actually possible based on the amount of money that we have, based on what the treasurer is telling us, right? Then as these committees propose these ideas, which will consist of Moors, those heads of those committees, which also consist of Moors, will then put it on the floor in front of everyone, and then we'll vote on those things. Literally that's it. And then once there's, let's say we start off with, let's say this whole thing is only 1,000 Moors, right? Let's say it's only 1,000 Moors. But since these Moors are actually going in a direction, and it's sundry free Moors, so it's mixed Moors, so it's not just one organization controlling things, and we're showing people that your voice matters and your voice is going to be heard, and you have a valid input. Then let's say over the course of 2 years, that number increases to 10,000. Right, 10,000 Moors. So whereas in the early stages of this Moorish National Constitutional Convention, not every Moor was a representative of a territory, right? Because a lot of Moors didn't know. But based on the community outreach initiative, once those Moors go back to the territory, they have pamphlets of information that they can just pass out in their community, and now more people are waking up. So now that's going to constitute to adding more people. Then once there's more people in different areas, now they can vote in who they want to speak for them at this table, so that way there's not 10,000 Moors in one room. So that's the basic concept of how this is going to work. Because if you look at the United States, if you look at any other country, that's exactly how it worked. People just came together, the word got put out, people said, you know what, I have interest in creating my own government, and I have the right to participate in my own government according to the United Nations Declaration on Human Rights, so I'm going to participate. And then from that comes actual change. And the fact that we're doing this is evidence of actual change. Because a lot of us on this call didn't even know each other. And now here we are voting and making decisions with each other. So if we can do it now, we can continue to do it, which is what the chairman's job is, to make sure we're moving forward, to make sure we're on point, to make sure that when proposals are postponed to 3 meetings later, that the secretary is writing that down, and when it comes time to that meeting, that chairman already addressed the secretary and is reading the minutes to everyone on the floor as what we're going to be going over today. And if this person ain't right, then all of us ain't right, because all of us put this person in that seat. Any questions?
It's not a question, really. I just want to right here. It kind of goes along to what you was just saying. Let me turn my camera on. I don't know if y'all can read that or not. Probably not. Y'all can read that, can y'all? Slightly.
Read it to us. I can't say.
It says, I'm trying to keep it on there while I read it. It says, a great occultist will make a great occult school, but a party is dead. The mantle will fall upon unworthy shoulders,
I don't know who that was.
and the glory be departed or turned into corruption. So this if we elect crooked people in an organization or whatever it is that we doing is going to become.
I don't understand what's going on.
But as long as the person who we put in charge is a good person. person and is an agreed upon person, then we shouldn't have nothing to worry about. So that's kind of like what the prophet said. As long as the prophet is right, the temple is right. So it shouldn't be too many Moors back in.
This call is happening right now, so hop on.
So basically, whatever in terms of how people are to be chosen, which I mean, obviously this isn't to get into like a deep conversation about it, but it's based on competency, as opposed to like
It's free.
This isn't based on reputation in the term of like. I mean, obviously you would want the person to have an honorable reputation, but I'm saying like in terms of maybe their past or their current status, trying to figure out how they are interacting with the public and private side, things like that. I mean, are there going to be standards set for whomever these people are outside of like what is already assigned by the Reader Sextet or the what Noble Jali has already said, things like that? Because I ask because I know that, you know, some of us have had experiences in the top and the bottom, left, right, past, present, and I'm just trying to see like what are the standards in terms of like, okay, who is honorable and who is not, or is it just based solely on competence?
So can I answer that?
Yeah.
So I'm basing this off of my experience in the Moorish American Consulate. So starting, there was obviously no way to basically say who can and cannot be there because we're all just starting this. But as we solidified in the Moorish American Consulate, there should have been some type of schooling system or resume or some type of on-the-job training program to where we're ensuring that the people that are in these positions are competent. So as an example, instead of the Moorish American Consulate literally just commissioning anyone as a consul who shows interest, there should have been some type of headquarters where people come to and get the training, just like the FBI does it. If you want to be part of the FBI, you can't just say, yeah, I want to be part of it, and that's it. You have to go through their training in Quantico. Same thing with the United States government. You can't just you can't just be in a position of power. You have to most likely get a degree in something. You have to be a certain age. You have to have a certain level of experience at least. You understand what I'm trying to say? So we're going to be the ones that determines that, and it's going to be by vote. And it's going to be by, again, just like for the Rhode Island Superior Court, the governor appoints that person, but then the legislative body confirms it or not. So if let's say how many people are on here? There's 52 people on here. So let's say out of the 52 people, we form a committee of 7. And out of those 7 people, we specify that their specific job is to go through resumes and vet people through this process to see if they even qualified to be in the positions that they want to be in. That's just an example of what we could do like right now. Or a better example, right now, out of these 52 people, we can vote right now of the 7 people we want to be the public relations committee to log down all the interested people in participating in this constitutional convention. That's what Brother Tarif means by every step of the way there's going to be a voting process. Every step of the way, everyone's voice is important. Every step of the way, everyone's input is important. And every step of the way, all of us have to pick up the pieces so that way, if we all do a little bit, none of us have to do a lot. Does that answer your question? Hold on, I want to make sure her question is answered.
Yes, thank you very much.
Yep.
Right. To go back to your question, it's like the prophet gave an example, and he is basically worded as tried and true, right? So like tried is
tested.
Like this person has physical evidence. This person has tried, right? Tried and failed, tried and won, right? And then true, this person has proven that they have that they stand on the principles, right? So, like I said, so the competence.
When and where is happening right now.
Doesn't know.
That's what you're listening to right now. Hop on right now. It's happening right now.
In certain positions. So it's just
Right now, look, that's me running my mouth right now. It's live right now.
Trusted and basically capable. So that's what like tried and true.
And I think that kind of hops back on to what Jamal was saying, though. You need a vetting process so we can ensure that that's actually tried and true. So, Islam, I digress.
And to what Grand Sheikh Jamal suggested, as since it's 50 people in this chat, to come in, like to vote on a public relations council or committee, name of it and the members for it. That's a good suggestion, but we want to let everybody know that we don't want to just be putting things together, just putting it together and not.
Hold on. For the new people that just joined, you have to mute yourself if you're not talking, because there's just a lot of interference happening. So when new people join and they connect their audio, your microphone is automatically on. So when you hop on, mute yourself.
Islam.